that you make while you're here. And I'm always here to uplift and serve and make our community a better place for not only right now, but for generations to come. My children, your children, and the family that come behind us. And we stand on the shoulders of many great people that have come through and have dealt with us supposedly and left an impact on the community so we can have the few opportunities that we do now. And so it's just a pleasure to be back this morning. We want to continue to move forward, but we want to definitely continue to keep the Miller family uplifted because it's a tough loss. We've lost but her legacy. And to give you a little back history on that, I'm pretty sure a lot of you may know that my father, Commissioner Gibson, he opened the doors of opportunity when he was elected as the first African American to serve on the McLennan County Commissioners Court. And I used to talk to my father, and he always said that they told him that he would have a snowball's chance in hell of winning that election and becoming county commissioner. But through hard work and the support of the people and the will of the people, he was able to break down that barrier and be elected to the commissioner's court where he served faithfully for 28 years until he retired in December of 2018. And at that point, it opened the doors for Commissioner Miller to step in to continue the leadership in the community that we had, the strong leadership and the strong service. For 5 years, she was elected in 2018. She got sworn in on January of 2019, and she won by 58% of the vote. Came after people came out and supported, and she was able to win a second term. And she was into the first year, just completed the first year of her second term. And so she did a lot for the community, but we have to remember it's the will of the people. It's a quote that I always like to use, and everybody listens as Grant, that said the will of the people is the best law. And so as we move forward, it's been a lot of talk, a lot of calls and things like that, and it's always a proper time for everything. And you have to be patient because it's not our time. I'm a strong and firm believer that everything happens at the right time, the time that God chooses. So, but we have to move forward. Things. But we have to move forward, come together as a community, organize, because we can do more as a collective. As a group of people, we can do a lot more. And so we're going to continue to move forward. And so I want to thank everybody for listening this morning. I want to thank Rocky for coming in, joining us with us this morning. We'll have Dr. Bell, and you got to bring him in. But do you have him on the line?
No, I don't have him on the line just yet. But Travis, I wanted to take a moment to kind of reflect on what our community has been through the last couple weeks with the passing of Commissioner Miller. It was sudden in her passing, so therefore it kind of caught us. It caught us all by a huge surprise, and her passing leaves a void in leadership and a void in representation on the McLennan County Commissioners Court that I think will be missed if not filled at some point. I know there's been a lot of talk in the community. I've got lots of calls around what is the appropriate action, what should be taken, and of course the county judge it's his decision as to what to do in this matter, right? And as a community, we have to respect that because that is the law. However, I would hope that Judge Felton is whatever decision that he does make, he makes it in concert with the will of the people, as you mentioned before, because over the last 30 years, 30 plus years, let me just
3 decades.
Three decades since 1990, when your father became that snowball, that defied the odds.
Defied the odds.
And became the first black elected county commissioner in McLennan County. He held that seat admirably until Pat was elected it made history once again and became the first African American woman to serve elected on the commissioner court. And subsequently, she most recently, just over a year and a few months ago, won her second election. And so it is, in my opinion, the people have spoke time and time again, over and over again, election cycle after election cycle, that the people want Democratic representation in Precinct 2 for whatever reason, right? And I think that Judge Felton should consider, if he appoint someone that has strong ties to the Democratic Party, knowledge of the inner workings of county government, and also familiarity with the community and the people. And so as I sit here as your co-host, Travis, and I don't mean to put you on the spot in any way, right? I see nobody more qualified in our community to be appointed as county commissioner by Judge Felton than yourself. And I'll ask you in front of the people, in front of everybody, right? On this station, do you have an interest in becoming the county commissioner? The county commissioner of Precinct 2.
But man, I appreciate that, and that's always been my intent since I was a young man. I was out on the boots to the ground with my father, campaigning, talking to the people. I watched him put the work in, and I knew then that at some point in my life I wanted to serve, be a public servant, and also a servant leader. And I knew at some point I wanted to become county commissioner to fill that seat, to keep good leadership and representation going. And so I watched. I had a mentor that I live with. I live this every day. And so it's an honor that you say that, but we do have, people saying, well, who's gonna pick the baton up? The baton's never been dropped. The baton has never been dropped. And I do have a strong desire to fill the seat. I'm gonna fill the seat. I'm gonna claim it because like you say, if you're going by the best qualified candidate to represent, that is myself. I was elected to the city council in Belmead in 2015, which is in Precinct 2. And when my wife and I were looking to, find a place after we got married, to find a place to settle down in, I specifically wanted to be in Precinct 2, and so I chose Belmead at that time. And so, I've been waiting patient, man. I think, like I said before, man, everything happens in proper timing. I've been groomed for it, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, if my father, Commissioner Gibson, were here and Commissioner Miller were here, they would, without a doubt, want me to take that place and that seat because I was growing up under both of them. I've known Commissioner Miller since I was 12 years old. I was a young man, so I've known Commissioner Miller a long time. And I in my family, I affectionately refer to her as Miss Pat. And I'd always had to put the commissioner on the front, but, Commissioner Miller was a humble person. Say, Trav, you don't have to, I know I'm the county commissioner, but you can continue to call me Miss Pat. So I have the utmost respect for her in that seat. And so we have to go back to 2018, and I believe you were there also.
Yeah.
Because after my father retired, that was my whole plan anyway, was to run for county commissioner when my father retired. And I did. I actually filed to be placed on the ballot. I was gearing up for the campaign, and Commissioner Miller, she decided that she wanted to enter her name into the race also. And we had a good conversation because we were more than just friends. We considered each other family. And so we sat down and we had a conversation, and she told me her reasons why. And I understood. And it wasn't my time then, but at that time, my concern was holding on to the representation of that seat. It wasn't about monetary gain or anything like that, because I never chased money, I think if you be great at what you're at, that's gonna come. Whatever you're doing, if you're successful and great at it, that stuff is gonna come. But at that time, that was the least of my concerns. I wanted to protect the legacy of that seat because I saw all the hard work that my dad put into obtaining that seat, and I saw the will of the people speak for 7 times, which is 28 years. And so I decided to withdraw my name from the ballot, to withdraw my name and put my support behind. Then it was Miss Pat, and I told all of my supporters that we need to come together as one. It wasn't the time to be divided; it was a time to come together. And so I made the best decision. So I withdrew my name and I put all my support behind Commissioner Miller. Myself and you, we got out there and we walked and knocked on the doors. You were trying to, understand how the politics and the boost to the ground campaigning worked. And we got out and knocked on doors. We had the list. And so we held on to that seat, right? Pat was elected. It wasn't even close. And so it's all about, you have to, in the game of politics, man, you have to, it's kind of like chess to me. You have to move with a strategic plan. And you have to be a skillful thinker, right? To get all the facts, get all the data, then you analyze that information, then you come up with a solution. And so we continue to have representation in that seat. And it was always my desire to come in after Commissioner Miller, right? Because we'd always talked about, I know my father and even Commissioner Miller, we'd talked about at some point we have to start grooming and identifying a younger person to, when the time is right to go ahead and they can move in and fill that seat, right? It's a seamless transition, right? And so in 2018, we made the right deal. I think you were at the press conference. I had a press conference at Pleasant Island Missionary Baptist Church. Found an old picture of that the other day. And, I did the right thing, man. And I was happy with that. And when Commissioner Miller told me her desires and the reason why she wanted to run, I respected that. And I said, you know what, I'm going to withdraw my name because we got to be supportive because I didn't want to split the votes. That's what I didn't want to do because I knew other people were strategizing, plotting, and planning to take the seat, which they didn't. And so once again, the will of the people spoke through Commissioner Miller. And you have to have, like my dad always said, man, you work for the people, right? The people can, if you're not doing a good job, they're not going to reelect you. It's as simple as that. They're not going to hire you. And so we had good representation, which was approved as a collective by the citizens of Precinct 2 for over 3 decades. That's a long time when you put that into perspective.
Yeah, I remember that day, Travis, when I was there. I was asked to be present. I had no idea what was going to happen. And it turned out that you, at that point, at that press conference, that evening at Pleasant Island, that you suspended your campaign for county commissioner and said that you would put all of your support behind, at the time, Patricia Chisholm Miller. And me and you had a long conversation outside after the election because I wanted to, I must admit I was enthusiastic about my friend, my former teammate, somebody I've known since I was a child, running for public office to represent, Precinct 2 and more importantly, the community we grew up in. I always say, when people ask where you from and they're from Waco, I tell people I'm from East Waco.
Right.
And because when I grew up, that was a special place, and I want people to understand that I don't have any qualms about it. I'm from East Waco. But to continue what I was saying, me and you stepped outside and we had a conversation, and you explained to me how important it was that A, we retain the seat, B, that you had faith in Pat, that she had the knowledge and understanding of what it takes to be the county commissioner, and she was qualified considering she had sat under your father for 22 years as his administrative assistant, and you also explained to me during a very difficult time for your father, while he transitioned into retirement, she held it down for him when other people were trying to discredit him and make, unfounded accusations about it.
Man, that most definitely. And they go back to loyalty, man. They were loyal to each other. And in a position like that, you do have to have that trust, man. That's number one. You have to have the trust. And that whole deal, man, it showed, it brought the community together, right? Instead of dividing the community. Because you got people that'll try to play that old Willie Lynch syndrome and come in and try to split and divide the people. But we're better than that. We're stronger than that. Number one. Before we continue, you got Dr. Bell. Did you bring him in?
No, I need to get his number,
Okay.
Travis. So if
I tell
you
him,
write
Dr.
his
Bell,
number
if you're
down, I'll
listening,
call.
after the break, we'll get in contact with you. This is a little bit new. We're trying to get the boards going, but we'll get with him, and I send him a text message shortly. But
Or you can just send in my number. And
yeah, we'll get it done. We'll do it after the break. But to go back to it, man, so that's what it's about. And so I kind of set back after the, everything, the unexpected loss, right? Kind of set back and analyze. And I just saw how insensitive some people are, right? I was just getting calls, and I appreciate the calls and everything, but it's always a right timing, man. It's a time for everything in this world, right? And so we have to continue, we have to move on, and we have to, and I understand the reality of it is it's a vacancy in Precinct 2. And I'm going to step up, and because the baton has never been dropped, I've just been sitting back patiently waiting for my time to come. So I'm well qualified. I understand how city government works. I understand how county government works. I'm very familiar with the budgeting process, the policy making, but also getting out in the community and addressing issues of concern. Because at commissioner's court, being a commissioner, you have a wide range of duties. But then, like my father did, you have your other obligations to your community, which ain't got nothing to do with commissioner's court, but that's a platform that you can use to continue to be an activist in the community and make sure we're getting proper representation, access to available resources that other communities are getting to. And so I'm ready. So I appreciate that you asking me that. And, I take pride in everything that I do, and I'm humble. You know what I'm saying? I'm always humble. I don't, some people get off on titles. That's not me. At the end of the day, I'm Travis Gibson, T. Gibb, from East Waco, and I always represent that as well. And I know being a county commissioner, I'm gonna represent the entire Precinct 2, which that covers the urban, McClellan Precinct 2, East Waco, Lakeview, Bellmead, parts of North Waco and parts of South Waco, but it also extends out to the rural community.
and with that, you're talking Axtell, Hallsburg, Riesel,
Mart, yeah.
and Mart.
All those
So it's a very diverse territory that Precinct 2 represents. And I remember doing Commissioner Miller's first bid for campaign. They tried to create drive a wedge in between the rural and the city dwellers, so to speak. And I think it ultimately backfired on the candidate that, who was running against her, because what ended up happening in that particular situation, it galvanized people who had been not in the election process for some time. And as me and you were walking the streets of East Waco, and that's when I really realized, Travis, when me and you were walking and knocking on doors and realizing you showed me the process, this is how you get the vote out.
Yeah.
And realizing that these people wanted to vote, you just had to tell them where to vote and what to do, and they want to be engaged. They just need just a push. And we were able to get, as we've knocked on doors,
they were excited about
hour,
going
they
to
were
vote.
excited about going to vote.
getting out, going to the polls, voting. And one thing I remember, it was a first time vote. That was a young lady. I think she was 19. She was excited about voting, but she had been registered to vote, but nobody educated on the importance of voting. And we went and talked to her, and we took her to the poll, and she voted. She was excited about that, and I'm pretty sure that young woman votes probably on every election that comes around, because it's really important, especially at your city level and your county level and state level, because that is what's going to impact our families, right? And I understand what families need, right? I walk amongst the common folks. I go to work every day trying to, impact young men and women in the schools, a diverse background, but come from the same background that I come from. And so I got a strong passion for serving, man, and uplifting people and making sure we have an opportunity just like everybody else, man.
This is a as I mentioned earlier, Travis, you have my complete and total support in succeeding Commissioner Miller as county commissioner, either by appointment or by election. However it go down, I'm riding with Travis.
I appreciate that, man.
Like I say, you've been my friend for 40 years. We walked the streets of East Waco, had friends that are still with us today, and friends that have went on. And so there's no, I wanted there to be no question about who I support as it relates to succeeding Commissioner Miller. But what I will say, what I want to bring up is I want to play a little devil's advocate here. And let's say we know the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter is that your father served admirably for 27 years.
28.
28, my bad.
And then before they was on the city council for 2 years, before then 88. Yeah.
Okay. So then Miss Pat, who came from what I would call the Lester Gibson tree, right, served another 5 years as county commissioner. What would you say to the people that would say it's time to let somebody else hold the position? It's time for us to put all the Gibson family political franchise aside and let somebody else represent the community. What would you say to that?
Hey man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? It's good representation. You can never go wrong with good leadership and good representation, and the people understand that. And so, man, it's like this. I'm born and raised here. I went off to school, played ball at UNT for, graduated in '94. I came back. And so I'm from this area, man, and more likely I'm gonna die here. So I got a real, genuine interest in the betterment of the people here in Waco, Texas, and McLennan County, and specifically the people of Precinct 2. If you look around, you got McNamara. That name been around how long? A long time.
Yeah.
Going back to Jesse Washington, all that's tied in together. But you can never go wrong with great leadership, man, and somebody that has an authentic, a real connection to the community, because it means a lot to me, right? That's what made me who I am today. That's how my fabric and my makeup was built, coming through the things that we went through, right? And overcoming barriers and overcoming obstacles and just being friends, man, just seeing people. And that's what it's all about, man. Because me and my good friend, Eric Irvin, man, that was my good friend. We were young, but we were out knocking on doors, had campaign materials, and we sat down one day. You know how Eric was. We sat down one day. He said, man, we're just going to put these materials, put them in this, what you call it, the little...
The gutter.
The gutter. So your dad ain't gonna know. I said, man, I don't think we need to do that. And so we did. Anyway, we were young, right? But as we grew older, we understood the process, man. We had the little juniors, right? It was, because my dad, man, one thing he said, it was like...
Shout out to the Huberts and the Irvin families.
Man, it's a whole lot of...
Those are cornerstones of the East Waco community. Those are two families that have been in East Waco for as long as I've been alive. So
Yeah.
and they existed long before I was born. So
Yeah.
Shout out to the Irvins and the Huberts.
And so when you start doing it, it's a whole lot of names. So that's why I don't really get in the name count. It's a whole lot of people that have ties, man. And we're just a product of our parents, man. It's our time now. I'm 52 years old. If God bless, I'll be 53 in June. And so it's time that we take it and move it on, man. Because it's been a lot of people that have come before. Even before my dad was elected, we had people that was in the struggle to make it better, man. You go back to Oscar Duke Hunter, which was the first African-American mayor in Waco. Go all the way back. Shepard Mullins, now he was actually on the commissioner's court. He wasn't elected, he was appointed. So it goes way back, and we stand on those shoulders. That's why we stand tall.
So, what I will say to that, Travis, that was a question I wanted you to answer, because I know that's a question that many people outside of our community will ask. I think people inside our community understand what your father meant, what Commissioner Miller meant, and now what you represent to the community. Like, people from the outside that don't know you or know your family may have their own opinion based on their interaction with your father, who was a political juggernaut, a giant, an activist, a huge personality. You know, I'll say this: you're a lot like your father, Travis. But in all fairness, I must say you are not your father. You have your own mind. You have your own way of doing things, and for that, I appreciate that. You know, you're not a guy running around here trying to duplicate somebody
No,
who
man.
you're your own man.
Yeah.
You got your own way of thinking, and I appreciate that. But this is what I wanted to say about the legacy of
Let me say
politics.
something real quick.
Go ahead.
Now, my father, that was my hero, right? And I'll never be able to feel my dad's shoes. My dad was a they don't really make him like him anymore, man. He was a man's man. He was gonna tell you like it is and like it was, and he was gonna stand on that. Whether he had to walk by himself or if he was gonna stand with him. But a lot of times he walked by himself, but he was doing it because of the people that he wanted to represent. And so I'll never be able to fill my daddy's shoes. Matter of fact, my daddy told me, you got your own shoes, right? Every man stands in their own shoes. I never be able to fill Commissioner Miller's shoes. I got my own way of doing things. I got a lot of my father in me, but I'm my own man, and I'm an independent thinker. I don't let nobody think for me. I sit down and I just, it's all about doing what's right. And I think whenever you have your heart is right and you got true intentions, great things come out of that. So yeah, man, my dad was a giant, man, and I never be able to finish shooting, and not even trying to.
So, so this is what I will say, Travis, and I think it's a huge advantage, as I've had a very close look at a person who works in politics that came out of a political family. And I'll mention her name because she's done great work in the community, and that's our councilwoman of District 1, Andrea Bearfield. She come out of political legacy. And coming out of that political legacy allows you to see and observe things almost before they happen. Like you're almost like a quarterback that knows what play to call against what defense. I'm amazed at in the foresight that she has as it relates to politics because they were running some of the same plays when
Yeah.
her mama was in politics more than 20 years ago. And I'm sure you see some of the same plays being ran.
Yeah, the game is the same. It ain't changed. They try to new age stuff, but at the end of the day, everything's the same. And then speaking of Councilwoman Bradford, we're connected, man. Her mother's from Tig, Texas, same place my dad is from. Miss Jackson used to babysit my father as a child, right? So that connection goes way back. So it's rooted deeply. You understand? And that was my friend too. She was kind of my main man every time we go out there and visit or whatever. But she had her own way of doing things, right? She had her own way of getting what she wanted done. Some people may have thought it was being passive, but see, everybody has and my dad said, no, she knows exactly what she's doing, and she's getting.
And you referencing
Miss
May Jackson,
yeah.
Andrea's mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she was a skillful statesman. I don't even like using the word politician, right? Because with politician, a lot of people, from what I've seen, man, it's a negative connotation. It's like, well, politicians, they just tell you what they want you to hear so they can get in the office and you don't see them again for another, until the next election cycle comes around. But she was a statesman and an advocate and an activist, right? And so those are people that we stand on the backs of, man. And like Andrew came out of a political family, I did too, but we're all connected from a little small country, Tig, Texas, in Freestone County, right? That migrated here to Waco and made an impact. So that's big.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I say that me coming from a family, what you would say common folks, we're not politically
Man,
connected
common
or
folk, man.
and anything like that. I have and I noticed that Andrea has this ability. Your father most definitely had this ability. I see it in your mother and in you as well. Though you guys come from a politically astute family, some would say sophisticated, whatever you want to call it. The way that you can connect with just the common people is uncanny to me. I've also walked, block walked, of course, with Andrea several times. And the way that she can connect with people is similar to the way that you connect with people. It's uncanny. It is almost innate.
Yeah.
And you guys have an impact on people, and and I believe an understanding of the vote and what the vote means to the people. And you guys can convey that in such simple, direct terms that'll make somebody, you know,
Yeah.
get off their couch and run down to the
And see something like
precinct
that, man.
and vote.
You can't rehearse that. You can't practice that. It's just something that's in you, man. You know, being able to communicate. I can get, you know, I can talk with the president of the United States and not lose the common touch. I'm gonna stand on what I stand on, whether it's him. And I can go back to my hometown, man, in my community. I can walk and talk amongst the people, right, and have their support. So that's something that's an intrinsic, innate characteristic of someone. You can't practice it. You know, so you tell somebody being fake, right? You can tell somebody they want to, well, I'm gonna represent the community, but your actions don't match up with the stuff that's coming out of your mouth. You understand what I'm saying? And so you gotta, you know, you not only you have to walk and talk, it gotta match up.
You know, I say this about Andrea all the time, is that she's incredibly a great communicator. She gives great speeches. She knows how to connect with people via speech. But the way that she can connect with a person one-on-one or in their living room or on their porch, it's amazing. And again, she's great behind the podium. She's great giving a speech. But one-on-one, she's absolutely amazing because her heart, the kind of heart she has, is being you able to convey it in those intimate moments when you're talking. I see you in that same way, Travis. You're great. You're a great communicator. You do great behind the podium, but the way you're able to, your heart, people can see your heart when you are one-on-one or connected with people. It's an uncanny ability, and from my point of view, coming out of common family, there's not many politicians, not only that can do it, that I don't think even willing to do it.
Yeah, man.
And
Whenever you get
we're thankful that we have people in our community like
Yeah.
Andre and yourself that are willing to connect and reach out to the people. It's so uh, uh, refreshing
Yeah, man.
when you can have a
you gotta
conversation
look at
with
it,
people.
Rock. You gotta look at it, man. Like the doors that were open. If you look around now, we have, and I've advocated for. We had the first African American mayor in Belle Meade, Mayor Neal, right?
Female.
Female,
Okay.
and she's doing a great job. She's not running again. You know, yesterday was the last day to file for our local elections and things like that. We have Nisa Payne up in Lakeview, right? We have Karen Coleman, which is in Belle Meade Precinct 1. She's on the city council. We got James Lee, Judge James Lee, right out 200 Carver Street, right? You know what that is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
200 Carver. And we have Judge Johnson. He's the constable, been around for a long time. Trying to make sure I cover everybody. So we have elected officials that are doing.
We talk about
good
the school
things.
board. We got Keith
School board,
and
we got
Jeremy.
Keith, Jeremy, and that goes on. And I go back, like I want to give credit to my mother too. You know, when matter of fact, when they both ran at the same time, my mother and my father. My father was running for city council. He was going up against Dewey Pinckney, which was a long-time city councilman. And Emma Harrison, she was on the school board, well-educated lady. She was on there for about 13 years. But my parents always thought, you know, they always believed in making a difference. If you're gonna sit around, can't sit around and talk from the sidelines. You gotta get into the game, right, to make things happen. And they both beat those incumbents at the same time. And when I went back and I was reading those articles, those old Waco Trib articles or whatever, man, that was powerful, man, coming from where we came from. And you talk about long term, but the people, they the one that elected Councilman Gibson at the time and school board trustee Gibson, Copley Gibson, and Lester Gibson to those seats, and they served, man, and they got out and they made a difference. And so I come from that, so you got to understand, I'm looking at that, and our family we had to sacrifice a lot, right, being the kids of public servants, put it like that. I'm going to try to avoid the political term. We were children that came out of a household where both of our parents were public servants, so we took a hit because they They were in the community, giving a lot to the community. But we understood, me being the oldest sibling, I understood what, why they were doing and what they were doing it for is for my family, all the other families in our neighborhood, so we can have a platform, have a better opportunity, that we can come up and we can be great and we can do other things like that. So I understood it. And so you got to understand when, and myself, my family, man, my wife is real supportive. I'm gone a lot. I'm doing a whole lot for the community. You know, I come to the radio station. My daddy had got this platform set up. I just want to continue it on, so I get up every morning. I don't get paid, right? Ain't nobody in my pocket. You know, I'm an independent man. I have to make my own decision. I don't owe nobody anything. I owe it to the people, right? That's who I serve and work for. And so you have to have a good, strong family, and they got to be a supportive family. So my wife is real supportive, and my kids. You know, because a lot of times, man,
And you got
I'm
a
taking
lot.
away from my family. Yeah, I got a lot of them, man. And that's my best job, man, is being a father, man. I got 100% present. I ain't missed not one day, you know. But it takes a lot, you know, coming from a political family. But people don't see that back end, right?
Yeah, man. You know, I I understand just a little advocacy that I do in our community, stuff that I do, how much time it takes away.
Yeah.
Like you, I benefit from having a very patient, understanding wife who supports me and don't mind getting her hands dirty with
Yeah.
me in the work that we do in the community. So I understand that. Now, all of my kind of community work came after my kids were pretty much grown.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine sacrificing while my kids were young. And you know, and me and you would see each other because we got kids the same age.
Yeah.
We would see each other at ball games and school events and all this here kind of stuff. And even amongst that, you still were doing your day job and
Yeah.
being a public servant
Man, yeah.
and being a devoted father. So, I mean,
And a devoted husband. I think I too, I'm a devoted husband. You know, I think, and you lead by example, right? And I'd rather see a sermon than hear one, right? It's gonna be action speaks volumes, and so that's the back end that people don't see, right? And it's a perception. You know, people always got a perception of things, man. You got all this, man. I'm like you, man. I'm trying to figure out, prioritize what bills I'm gonna pay, right? Keep the lights on. I got my mortgage note, so I have to. But you got to have. That's why I said it's a passion to be a public servant, man. You can't be shaking and faking because it takes some real passion and dedication, and the people see that. They know. You know, like I said, you got some people, man. Like I share this with you. So my dad always told me you got to be careful with people that come in, right? That drop in, right? You know, we from here, right? And you have, and I've seen it before. You have people that drop in. They want to get involved. They got these ideas they want to throw around and this and that. Then all of a sudden, they may be gone, right? They come in, they gone. But I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. Like I said, the only way probably gonna die here in Waco, man, unless I hit the lottery, which the odds are stacked against me, as you know. So I'm here. I'm here, and I'm gonna serve and I'm gonna support. But it's huge, man. You know, when I was coming up, we had to. My daddy was with the, you know, they had the KKK, the Grand Wizard, man. They were writing those letters and threatening my father's life. And I know we had to go stay with my grandmother for a little. My sister now had to go stay with my grandmother because for our safety, right? But that didn't stop my dad because he was he gonna meet it head on. We not running no KKK.
And again, I know this is probably not proper radio jargon, but your daddy wasn't no punk,
Nah,
and
man.
so he
Nah.
wasn't gonna be dissuaded. And you felt that when you were in his presence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You knew you were good. Like I say, man, the legacy in which you come from, I think, with your dedication to service, as a community, we all can benefit from it, with you serving in the capacity of county commissioner.
Yeah.
Again, you know, you're my friend, my former teammate. All that is well and good, but not only that, you're qualified, Travis. And I don't want that to fall on deaf ears, though. All the other things are the relational aspects of who we are as friends matters a lot. Don't get me wrong, it matters a lot. But for the community, what matters is that you're qualified and you're able to represent uh, Precinct 2 in a way that continues to allow us to benefit from economic development that's happening in Precinct 2 and making sure that the history and culture that exists in Precinct 2 is preserved and maintained as our community goes through a transition. Because as I can see as I drive through neighborhoods and whatever, those same East Mitchell and Peach and Cherry and
Cherry Park. It went from Cherry Park section of East Waco.
and over on Walnut Street where my wife and I own a lot. And so those neighborhoods are changing, man. People are coming in and putting up homes and things of that nature. And I just want, as it changes, I don't want the history and culture to change. I don't care about who moves in the neighborhood. I don't care who occupies those homes that are being built. But what I do care is that they maintain a certain history and culture. And here's the reality, and I wanted to say this, I know this is kind of off topic, but I want to get this out. If other people see more value in our neighborhood that we see value in, then who are we to tell those people that they can't live amongst us?
And I think, man, it's education, man. You got to educate the people on. You got to educate what's going on. That's real big education. A lot of people probably don't know, man. With the value of property. Property is valuable, right? And we're right here by the river.
Right by downtown.
Downtown, and you see everything coming in. But see, that's not new. My father was telling me that 20, 25 years ago what was going to happen, right? I don't know if you remember, Baylor had this 2020 vision. They was marketing it everywhere, 2020 vision. So the things that we're saying that it didn't happen overnight. It was planned. It was strategically planned. And like I said, I don't think they see more value than we see. I think we just don't know how to navigate.
Well, that's why we might disagree on this. But what I'm saying is, we got friends and family every day that go to work hard, successful people. I'm talking about these people are successful. They high earning folks in the community. These folks are black. And each and every time they get a chance to purchase a home, they purchase a home outside our community. When they have the resources and money to purchase a home or build a home within our community. So at the end of the day, if they keep doing, if we, however you want to say it, keep investing in other people's community, pretty soon our community is going to be void of the people who once occupied it, right? Because we've chosen to make other choices with our resources, with our funds, and so on and so forth. I'm saying that let's not complain about the people that are moving in to those neighborhoods that we love, that we say we love and care about so much.
Yeah, you can't complain about that, man. You just got to move forward, right? You can't sit up, you can't cry over a spilled milk. That's done, right? So I think we had, even with
we both went there as young, even when we were.
Then Paul Quinn left, that big impact. Took something away from the community, man. Asked me to step in and keep it going, which I made a vow to do that. And like I said, I enjoy coming in on Saturdays, man, trying to get good content. So it's not my show. I'm just on this microphone. I'm just a vessel. But he named the show "If We Only Knew What We Could Do" for a reason. If you think about that statement, if we only knew what we could do a whole lot.
Absolutely.
We can do a whole lot as a collective. And so, yeah, we just continuing it on, man. Hopefully, we'll continue to bring good people in. And we have elections coming up. We didn't even get to that part. We have the
well, I think it's important that we take a couple minutes to just talk about how important it is.
Yeah.
We had a glitch on Facebook, so those of you watching
you got Facebook on?
Yeah. Those of you watching on Facebook, I want to let you guys know, thank you for being patient. Man, we had, at one point we had 30 people viewing in at one time.
Man.
You
I should have
know,
been looking at the camera. I'm over
no,
here.
no,
I
no,
ain't
no, no,
think,
no,
yeah.
no. You're doing good. You know,
Yeah.
I think, the content works better when we act like the camera's not here. Me
Yeah.
and you can talk
Oh, yeah.
just like we would talk in the car or
Yeah,
up
yeah,
under the
yeah.
tree on at Hood Street Park. I think
Yeah.
it works better. It makes for better content that way. But what we want to say is, and I'm just gonna go off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And if I make mistakes, y'all need to read that article in the newspaper. But it looks like in the for city council and the mayor race, it looks like Jim Holmes has filed to be the mayor, and then there were a couple other people that filed to run for mayor. I think Eric Brown, Pastor Eric Brown, also filed to run for mayor. The incumbent mayor, Dylan, Dylan Meeks has reached the maximum number of terms he can run, and so therefore, Jim Holmes, who is also an active councilman, he stepped down. Well, not stepped down, but he's gonna run for mayor, right? And probably the way that works, if in fact he wins, he'll resign from his seat, assume the role as mayor, and they'll either have a special election or appoint somebody for Jim Holmes' seats. And so I think the two people were Eric Brown and Jim Holmes for mayor, and then Andrea Bearfield and also Josh Borderoux, they didn't have anybody who filed against them, so they will retain their seats as members on the council. And then you go to the city council, the school board, and you have Jeremy Davis. No one filed to run against him. Well, let me take that back. There's a young lady by the name of Lauren Caldwell who originally had filed to run against him. She then withdrew and then filed to run against Keith as the at-large candidate. And unfortunately, to my dismay, Stephanie Corderwig does not have an opponent, and so she
We thought
will
we had
retain.
one. That's why it's important to organize right before we get these points, because you got to look at the games they play right now, especially with their school board, where they'll get in there, nobody, there's no challenger, right? They get in, they get elected, and all of a sudden they step down, they appoint somebody to fill. And that's kind of the game, the political games that can be played on you.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're not,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
don't, if you're not aware of what's going on and understand how politics works, it's a political game on the back end. And just to clarify, and I know we got time, we'll get ready to go, but
Yeah.
so with the vacancy right now, so the jurisdiction lies within Judge Felton's. It's his decision if he wants to appoint someone. I have no control over that. I respect that decision because that's law, and I respect law. But there will be a special election, which will be in November. And the way that works, each party, right, the Democratic Party, the precinct chairs and executive body for both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party will nominate someone to be on that ballot in November. And the nomination won't take place until after the state Democratic Convention, which is going to be June the 6th through June the 8th. Mm-hmm. So sometime thereafter, there will be a nomination made, and then you have to certify that candidate, which that'll be about July the 17th, and then the race is in November. Now, if he does appoint someone, because there was a question on this, and that's why I went to the Commissioner's Court to hear the county attorneys to get their interpretation. So it was said that if you appoint someone as a caretaker until the special election, they couldn't run in November. That's incorrect. So let's say if they appoint myself, right, to fill the remaining term of Commissioner Miller's seat, and the Democratic Party nominate me as their nominee to be on the ballot in November, I can still run, serve and still run. If there's no nomination, then I can't run. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. So that's where we are now. So we just have to, and what I do, Rocky, I always plan, man. Proper preparation prevents a poor performance, right? And so I'm planning and getting my team together as though I'm on the ballot, because you can't wait until June and start trying to plan and organize. It takes a whole lot more going into a campaign, and I was left the blueprint, and I always share that. I've helped I shared some information with Mayor Payne and Lacey Lakeview to help her campaign. Shared the things that I know with Councilwoman Coleman, which she's doing a great job at Bellmead District 1. Same thing with Miss Neal. I got in and helped, and I showed them. So I'm the type of person, man. If I have knowledge and information on something, I'm gonna share that information, right? Some people won't. They keep it all to themselves. And I can't tell you everything, but I can give you something that you can put in your toolbox to help you be successful.
I would say this for people who are in precinct 2, and you think it's important that he appoint someone. I would definitely write a letter and send it in to Judge Felton, letting him know that it's important that the seat is filled, because I believe it's important that the seat is filled. I believe that it's important that the seat is filled in keeping with the will of the people. Also, I mean, when you talk about from now until November, that is a long time to have someone to be vacant with no representation in that seat. And I think, in my opinion, if you appoint someone and that person plans not to run in an election, then that person ultimately is not ever accountable to the people and the decisions that they make. So I personally think that Judge Felton should appoint somebody who intends on running for the seat. You know, again, I've stated my views as to who should be appointed, and also uh, during the election who you should vote for, and I don't foresee that changing. But in all actuality, we got to reach out and communicate because again, this is precinct 2 business. To be perfectly honest with you, in this particular situation with the nominations coming from both the Democrats and the Republicans, there will be people outside our precinct having a voice on who should be our county commissioner. I'm weary of that because I think this is precinct 2's business. I think the people that are precinct chairs in precinct 2 should have the only voice in this matter. If you're in precinct 3 or precinct 4, I don't think you should have a voice as to who should be nominated or vote for that matter. But that's just my personal opinion.
Now I agree with you on that because the precinct, they don't, the precinct, it's just the Democratic precinct chairs, right?
Uh-huh.
They could be a precinct chair in District 4, Precinct 4, Precinct 3, and I get it, I understand. So you got to always read and look at the fine thing. But I think we'll be okay, man, because I got confidence in the people, man. Like I say, Judge Felton has that in his jurisdiction. I can't make him change his mind. He's going to do what he's going to do anyway. Hopefully he will use some discernment and come up, because that's a delicate situation, man, because if you appoint a Republican in that seat, like Mark Hayes said, we're gonna get it back, and we should come out in numbers and vote, right, to let them know, hey, we still have a voice.
Well, my issue with appointing the Republican, right, it would be against the will of the people.
Oh yeah.
I don't care how qualified the guy is. I don't care how much he know about roads and bridges, any of that stuff. It's against the will of the people. 30 plus years, the will of the people have elected a Democrat representing that space, representing that position.
African American Democrat.
African American Democrat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and to all of our sadness and dismay, Commissioner Miller wasn't able to finish out her term due to her untimely death.
Yeah.
Left a void in that seat, and I don't think you should use that opportunity to usurp the will of the people. I think you should be in keeping with the will of the people. She did not lose an election. She was serving in the capacity. She was doing a great job. And at the end of the day, I think moving forward, we should have someone serve who is in keeping with, that comes from the same ilk, Democrat and also African American, to serve in that position. because because again, there are already 4 Republicans on the commission. If you don't have a Democrat on there, then you have single party rule, and like Mark Hayes said, single party rule is never a good thing.
Right. And so we got a plan, but we'll probably plan. We got to organize, man. So we'll have some meetings. We'll keep everybody abreast of what's going on.
And maybe we'll get Judge Felton on here.
Yeah, I would love to have him on, but we can send an invite to him if he'll come on.
Yeah,
we
and
sit
talk
down,
to the people about this.
Yeah, we just talk down, talk man to man, because at the end of the day, we men, right? And we stand on manhood. And I would love to have Judge Felton on. We can see if he'll reach. I sent him an email. Then I always do read receipts. I can tell if you open my email, that hadn't been read. I ain't doing no tripping, man.
On the website, under his name, he has the county administrator listed
Dustin
as his
Chapman.
email contact.
I didn't see this. I'm gonna need to email his.
Yeah.
You should reach your own email though, really. If you got your
He
name on the email.
he may read his own email, but the
I
email.
heard I reach out, but we have to continue to move forward. We'll wrap it up, man. I want